Okay, what's good? Yeah, welcome back to part 2.
Don't opt in, you don't opt out. And members of the target group don't opt in or opt out. But what they can do, as Jesse Lee Peterson has so effectively done in his career, is they can identify with the power structure. They can identify with white racism, and they can carve out a niche for themselves by defending the racism that is attacking Black people, as opposed to defending Black people against that racism. A Black man in America who does not stand up for his people and in turn aligns himself with the structure that is eating away people can go very far in this country.
If the structure that is taking away opportunities for Black people is saying when you fuck up, own it, then you get what I'm saying? Like UMAR, you have to give examples, because what you're saying, right? You're honestly just like blowing a whole bunch of hot air. You have to give contextual evidence of what the fuck you're talking about, because I hear what you're saying, but I don't see it being applicable in my life or anything that I've seen or read. I don't get it, so. But that's what Umar does a lot. When you really pay attention to a lot of the stuff, unless he's talking about history, a lot of what he's saying is just blowing some fucking smoke, man. A whole bunch of hot air just coming out.
Senator Tim Scott is an example. Jesse Lee Peterson is an example. And we will continue to create these types of personalities, Sister Tammy, if we don't come up with a code and if the Black community doesn't start holding its members accountable for dysfunctional.
See, it's funny that he's saying that we need to hold ourselves accountable. But this is the same nigga that preaches that victim mentality. This is the same nigga that led his part on part 1 with post-traumatic slave disease. You can't hold people accountable when you literally plugged in the ultimate crutch. You idiot. Yeah. Oh yeah, post-traumatic slave disease, yada yada. Oh, we gotta hold ourselves accountable. You can't hold anyone accountable if that's the case, because all they gotta do is harken back to the slavery and shit like that. So come on, you dumb motherfucker. Like, dude, look, this shit ain't difficult, man. I say it all the time. Most things in life aren't difficult, but this is how this nigga's a sellout, and he's just making money off the struggle. That's it. If you hear anyone talking about the struggle, look, I said this, and I haven't said it in a couple of videos, so allow me to say it again. Okay, this is one of the things that I'm wholly behind. If someone says that they're for the quote-unquote Black community and they're not for the quote-unquote Black man, I don't care if they're talking about all the programs for the kids that they got in mind or all the programs for the single mothers and shit like that. Listen, if they're not for the quote-unquote Black man, tell them to get the fucking stepping. Okay? Get the fucking stepping. Because you're not for the Black community. You cannot be for the Black, quote-unquote Black community if you are not for the quote-unquote Black man, period. Don't care if you're a man, woman, I don't give a fuck. It's that simple. And there's no questions asked about it. There's no caveats or like, oh, well, but if a woman, and then no. Real simple. Be for the Black man. If you're not, then you're not for the quote unquote Black community. You got your own fucking agendas that you're trying to peddle. Okay? Because I know obviously there's people that's probably gonna listen to this video that have never heard any of my other videos, but that is the reality. Okay? If you want to figure out if someone's really down, quote unquote down for the quote unquote cause, that's how you do it. If you want to figure out if you want to know if you're really down for the cause, ask your fucking self that.
Behavior.
We're going to take a quick break and come right back on the Tammy McLeod Show on Fox Soul.
All right, she got these commercials. Hold on.
Trying to do is like, right.
Same speed as my.
Sorry, y'all.
And my.
Adults react.
All right.
Lucky's a little.
I had another song that I wanted.
Damn.
Welcome back to the Tammy Mac Late Show on Fox Soul. Tonight, the business of being black are sellouts. Are you a sellout? Is there such thing as a sellout? Let's go to the chat and find out what they're saying. Maya Magahi says, this panel is lit. Hakai says, queen. Joy says, hey, y'all, I'm sorry I got consumed at work, but I'm here now and happy to be. Incog says, uh-oh, Dr. Umar Johnson, it's about to be lit tonight. And then, hold on here. Where are we? Don Morris says, Jassy. That's how it's written. That's how I'm saying it. And then our soulmate says, all your skin folk ain't your kinfolk. And then keep.
You know what's funny? A lot of these fucking liberal Negroes like to throw that phrase around. All your skin folk aren't your kinfolk. And they don't understand that is true, but not for the reason that they're trying to use it for. They say it like, oh, you know, just because he black don't mean he black because he a coon and he not for the team, whatever. No. All your skin folk ain't your kinfolk is true because not all of us come from the same place. Just because we look, quote unquote, the same doesn't mean we come from the same place and have the same culture and identity. Like, again, you know, Asians, they quote unquote look the same, right? Like, you look at them, you can't tell the difference between a Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese, Vietnamese person or Korean. You can't. I can't. You can't. So, you know, if they were to say, oh, you skin folk ain't your kin, like, no, hell no, they wouldn't say some dumb shit like that. Because they don't go around just grouping people based off the fucking color that they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you think about it, you got quote-unquote yellow, all right? You got quote-unquote red, quote-unquote black, quote-unquote white. Those are the only colors that we have. But the quote-unquote black are the only ones... No, the quote-unquote blacks of America are the only ones that try to just lump everybody into the same fucking category because they are quote-unquote black. And that is not the way you do it. You don't even see quote-unquote white people, the Europeans, doing it. Why? Because a Frenchman knows the difference between being French and an Italian man. There's a different fucking culture. Okay? And you can call it what you want to call it, but that's a whole different discussion for a different day. But that's just the reality. There's a different culture. An Englishman, well, not even Englishman. Let's just go into England. All right. So we have the Irish, and then we have the Scots. They're different. They're literally different, and they live in close proximity to one another. You go to Africa, you go to Nigeria. You know, there's thousands of tribes in Nigeria alone, and that's one country in Africa on the West Coast. You know, there's different types of people. You don't just lump yourselves together because you quote unquote look the fucking same, or not even because you look the same, because you have the same skin color, and you don't, because there's different shades of quote unquote black. Oh man, like when I press play and then they show the panel again, just look at all the different hues of the people on the panel.
Me Lovely says, imagine asking a white person, why should you care about this word? Hashtag not for sale. That's a good question. And if a white person were on my panel, they'd be asked the same question, because that's the question I start every show with every night. Why should black people care? Now, the answers are up to you. Perhaps black people shouldn't care. Perhaps I shouldn't be asking black people. The answer is all up to you. I simply ask the questions. I am the host and moderator. But thank you for that. I'll get a white person on the show and ask them. Joy says there are really strong words. These are really strong words. And then let's see. Okay, Ursula O says it is on and popping tonight on the Tammy Mac Show. Rising the 80s, or I sing the 80s. I sing the 80s says Reverend Jesse is a walking contradiction. We're gonna let you respond to that in a minute, Reverend Jesse.
All right, come on, back to the fucking panel.
Knowingly or with gross negligence.
Randall Kennedy's work earlier today. Yeah, absolutely they exist. That's what I was talking about. Those who knowingly. There's a difference between somebody who makes a mistake and doesn't know better. You share information with them, they correct their behavior. There's a difference between that and people who actually knowingly do it to profit economically or what have you, and they don't care about doing harm to African Americans, to the community, what have you. So absolutely, it exists. Now, in this, the other thing is, I think in this whole social media culture, okay, I think in this whole cancel culture also, I think sometimes the term sellout may be used prematurely or something like that. Because we're in this whole cancel culture. A lot of times when somebody says the wrong thing, you just want to cancel them or what have you. So I think you're dealing with that, but dealing with that nuance as well. But oh yeah, absolutely, sellouts exist throughout history. During slavery, after slavery, absolutely sellouts exist.
Why do you think the term is so loaded in the Black community?
Well, I think, Dr. Umar hit on something, and, I deal with things like this as well. Because of the history of slavery in this country, African Americans have largely been stripped of African history and culture, things like this. Our culture, and two of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Professor James Small, and Dr. Umar knows who they are. They talk about how African history and culture gives us our foundation. It gives us our VIPs, our values, our interests, and our principles. And this gives us a cultural paradigm that we see reality through, but this gives us some type of code of conduct.
Yes, it does. But again, every quote unquote Black person here in America today, now, they're not all from Africa. Okay? And as a historian, I expect you to know that. They're not all from Africa. Okay, they're not all African slaves. That's not true. So it's hard to move forward when you have people like this that is a quote unquote historian and the president of the African History Network, and then it's either he doesn't truly know history, or he's choosing to continue with this narrative, and that's also narrative. The whole it's a narrative. It's a narrative, man. It's a narrative, and it's not true. Well, I don't say it's not true. It's not wholly true. Okay, every Black person here did not come as a slave from the west coast of Africa.
That's what I was talking about. So when you deal with other ethnic groups in this country, for the most part, they have their history and culture intact to a certain extent, and this gives them that code of conduct he was talking about. That gives them that foundation.
It's called culture, nigga. Okay, it's called culture.
Largely for us, it's been taken away from us, and many of us, in various ways, been trying to take back, reclaim certain aspects of it. But we're operating at a deficit. So sellouts definitely exist.
The Reverend Jesse, we got soulmates in the chat for you. One from None says, Jesse holds Black people accountable. But Deja E says, Reverend Jesse claims folks don't know God, but he sounds the most judgmental and hypocritical than anybody. What do you say to that? I guess she's saying hypocritical in a sense of, you say you were raised on a plantation, or your parents were raised on a plantation, but how can a plantation exist if there were no slaves? So that in itself would be kind of incongruent or hypocritical. What do you say to that?
Once upon a time, there were slaves in America. That is not happening today, and it wasn't happening when I was growing up in Alabama. This idea that slavery is the cause of the lack of morality for Black people is insane. It's just another sign of an illogical mindset. Because when I was growing up, the bathroom was outdoors, outside bathroom. I had to work the cotton fields and things like that. But it was the character of the man or the woman that counted. And when I was growing up, Black people at that time were known to be men and women of character. Today, Black people, not all, but most, are known to be men and women who lack character. The world knows that Black people are suffering not because of this phony idea of racism, slavery, systemic racism, and all that crap. They know that Black people are immoral. that they come from failing parents, and that they hate everybody, and they have no love.
But that's not
Everybody
your
knows
story,
it,
is it,
but
Reverend?
they're afraid to tell the blacks.
That's not your story, is it, Reverend Jesse? Is that your story?
No, because I was raised differently. I was raised to treat all in the way that I would like to be treated, to be fair and to be honest, because you're either children of God or children of Satan, and it has nothing to do with the color. And the children of God cannot hang out with the children of Satan because they have their hearts are wicked and they have illogical mindset. The two men that just spoke, it made no sense.
So I'd like for you to teach me.
They don't have a logic.
Reverend Jesse, I would like for you to teach me for a moment here.
Yes.
Please.
First of all, to be taught, you have to be open and receptive. And then just in the way that she, like the tone, and when she said that, I don't think that she's receptive.
Break me away from tradition and what I've been taught in the white schools that I've attended that suggest that there was this society in America that wouldn't allow white people and black people to drink from the water fountains. Did the white institutions I attend teach me that wrong, or was that correct?
You see, she's being facetious. Look, we all know that was true, but that's not what he's saying. So obviously, I don't expect her to grasp it. But obviously, she's having a hard time grasping what Jesse's trying to say. What he's saying is that, for those of you who don't know what he's trying to say, is that, yes, back then, like there were some quote unquote, like what people will call today, racist things going on. But obviously, if you were to, supplant yourself back then, it would be quote unquote normalized. Because and also when you're literally going through your life, through your day to day, and working hard and taking care of your family, you're not worried about what other people are doing or what they think about you. You're just not. In my life, in my daily life, I'm not worried about what people are fucking thinking about me or saying. I could care less. Actually, I couldn't care less, to be honest with you. I couldn't care less. So I just keep my eyes on the prize and my mind on the tasks at hand. Okay? Because I have goals. All right? I'm not just idle, through my life. I'm not just sitting here fucking collecting dust. I'm always doing things, to make progress. So I don't have time to be concerned with what people fucking think. Even if I cared, I don't have time to, because it's not relevant and it's not pertinent to what I'm trying to do. So if as a community we can all adopt that mindset, then a lot of shit that's going on wouldn't fucking faze you, because you have to be focused on what you got to do for you and for yours. And if everyone in the community is doing that, and obviously living righteously, then the community will grow. Okay, obviously would gain knowledge on other things like economics and shit like that. But you can teach them all of that stuff when you're separated and divided now, but it's not going to do anything. It's not going to mean anything, and it hasn't bore any fruit yet.
Ready to learn from you.
Well, as a matter of fact, when I was growing up, I remember the colors only signs and the whites only signs. But because most black people loved what was right, they loved God, they knew that all white people did not feel that way. It was primarily the white people who belonged to the Democratic Party, and they didn't want blacks to be a part of the Democratic Party. And so that's why the blacks started the Republican Party, because the blacks. So when we dealt with for black only signs, for white only, common sense said it wasn't everybody. It was those who serve evil.
But it was majority of the white people. We can agree with that.
No.
Look, so I don't know if it was majority. Okay, obviously Jesse, he lived through it, so this is his anecdote that he's literally talking about. So I don't know how she could literally just implant that. Oh, it was majority. I guess we have to take Jesse's word for it on this one. And again, I don't know what people were thinking. Because if there were white people back then that literally had the mindset that I literally just said of, do what the fuck you got to do and shit like that, then you're not worried about anybody else. Period. But that's that narrative that people want. Like, oh, everyone was racist. Like, nigga, like, yo, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Why are we talking about racist people back in the fucking 1930s? Why is that what we were talking about? It's 2021. It's 2021. Or I don't know when Jesse was born. He's probably like in his fucking 70s, 80s. So he might have been born like in the 50s.
Oh, it wasn't the majority of black people. It was a few.
I said majority of the white people.
I'm sorry?
Let's get back on to sellouts. Dr. Umar.
Yes, ma'am. And I would like to respond to him, if I may, Sister
And it
Tammy.
wasn't the majority of whites.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr.
I want to clarify something when we talk about racism. Racism is not an individual personality fault.
It doesn't
Of white
exist,
people.
man.
Racism is not about individual personality. Racism is about systemic injustice, systemic bias, systemic disproportionality, systemic discrimination. You do
That's
not
dumb.
opt out of you do not opt out
That
of
is
racism.
dumb.
All white people benefit from and participate in racism. So whether your ancestors owned black people or not is irrelevant. And the reason it is irrelevant.
You notice that what he's doing is that he's setting it up so that way there's always going to be a racism talk. If you opt in or opt out, or you always opt in no matter what, and you always benefit from it no matter what, and we always have to opt in it as the second class citizens, and we always lose from it no matter what you say or what you think. See what he's setting it up so that way it always exists, and therefore you're always talking about it. But am I gonna sit here and say like no, like it's partially correct, but the issue with that mindset is obviously you're always going to have that fucking racism talk that leads nowhere, man. Like, what the fuck? This shit leads nowhere. So there's no reason in talking about it all the goddamn time. What we need to be talking about is, establishing a culture, getting back to the Most High, men leading their households, men teaching their households, stop aborting all these goddamn babies, having children out of wedlock, taking advantage of EBT welfare, all that stuff, living off the system that you always complain about. Living off the teat of the so-called white man. How about we address those things?
Sister Tammy, is because even if your ancestors didn't own black people, they worked at a job that was created because of the enslavement of black people. So there's no such thing as...
Even if your ancestors didn't own black people, they worked at a job that was created through the enslavement of black people. And, Umar, what were they supposed to do? They weren't rich enough to own slaves, or maybe they morally were against it, or maybe it was a combination of both, all right? Because that's all possible. But they needed a job, especially for the ones that weren't rich enough to have a slave. And again, that's part of the narrative that, Umar likes to gloss over, and that, is perpetuated. Not every quote-unquote white person in the South owns slaves. Slaves cost a lot of money. Not many people had a lot of money to buy slaves. Oh man, the disinformation that is being pushed out there by everybody, by the mainstream media, even by freaking the people that you look for information. The Dr. Umar Johnsons of the world, the Michael Imhotep, like they're all pushing disinformation, man. You know, they'll give you some nuggets of truth, but it'll be wrapped around some bullshit to perpetuate their agenda, whatever it is. You know, that's why it's up to you to literally do your own research, do your due diligence, and find out the truth. Because the truth is the truth. It doesn't change. Okay? So find the truth.
Slavery did not impact my family. Just like in today's America, all white people benefit from the mass incarceration of black people. They benefit from the miseducation of black children. They benefit from the police.
Look, mass incarceration of black people. 3 strike laws targeting black people, yes or no? Yes, that is true. But also we have to understand, though. We put ourselves in that position. Now, I'm not saying that like obviously we're targeted for stupid things. But again, a lot of the things that brothers get locked up over, I don't care if it was a dime bag of weed or whatever the case may be. Nigga, the shit's illegal. So you're gonna cry about it all you want, but at the end of the day, you did break the law. You know, and you know what would have happened if you didn't break the law? You wouldn't have come into contact with the police. It's real simple, man. It's real simple. You know, you already know you're targeted, and then you do something to make them target you more. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But instead of getting, you know, holding our own people accountable and saying like, yo, don't, like, cut it out. You know, you don't gotta do all that. They don't. They rather just go and say, "Oh, that's racist," and you know, let's blame the system and society and shit like that. And then they'll make sure saying "free my nigga," whatever, you know, insert name here. And it's like, come on, man. Some of these niggas are really criminals. You know what I'm saying? And need to be in jail. You know, so you know, and again, not all. There are some people that literally, you know, did something. You know, maybe. They didn't even do something, but they are just targeted and framed, shit like that. You know, that shit happens. I'm not gonna sit there and act like it doesn't. But again, you know, if you don't want to deal with the cops, don't do things to attract the cops. Okay? Like when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure this is just like, you know, like wise tale, like, oh, you know, if you wear yellow, you know, you're gonna attract bees. When I was a kid, I didn't wear yellow because I didn't want to get stung by a bee. And to this day, I haven't been stung by a bee ever. And now that I think about it, I don't really wear the color yellow. So I don't know if that's the reason why. I doubt it. But, you know, look, if you don't want to attract a certain thing, then don't do it. You know, don't do it.
Brutality against black people. So I want to make sure we are clear. Racism is not about individual white people.
But what you're saying is a lie.
Racism is about the system of racism
that
controls opportunities and resources, Sister Tammy. Racism is not about the attitude. It's about the control of resources and opportunities.
Tammy, that is not true. This is why we have to we must get to know ourselves so that we can overcome that fallen state. Dr. Umar is evil for putting out a lie like that lies like that because people are going to believe in it.
Let's refrain from calling people names.
Okay. Well, he's not telling the truth.
We have to refrain, Sister Tammy, but at the same time,
he is
I
evil.
think it's important that we understand the difference between the Negro and the coon. Sister Tammy, this is a very important distinction that has to be made. The Negro is innocent in his ignorance, Sister Tammy. As Brother Michael said earlier, some people make mistakes against the race unknowingly. If you make a mistake against the race unknowingly, that was a Negro. Negroes are innocent. They think white people are more intelligent. They think Jesus is black because they haven't been taught any better. But a coon knows better, but the coon voluntarily identifies with his oppressor because there is an agenda that he's looking to get filled. And the sad thing about Jesse Lee Peterson is he is too old to be cooning at this point in his life. And the fact that he claims to be...
Do I think Jesse Lee Peterson is a coon? No. No, again, I agree with Chronicles of Judah 144, and the real coons are the people that are destroying the black neighborhood. The real coons are the people right now in the hood near you, selling drugs, selling guns, shit like that. You know what I'm talking about. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Those are the real coons. The real coons are the people that know these people, know what they're doing in the hood and community, and don't do nothing about it. Those are the real coons. Those are the real coons, man. Not Jesse Lee Peterson. Okay? And that's not the problem with the black community. We let niggas like this nigga, Dr. Umar, come in and try to tell you who to castigate. And no. Last time I checked, Jesse Lee Peterson has a foundation. Last time I checked, Umar, you still collecting money for a school that hasn't been, actually not even built, because it was already built. You bought the school, but it hasn't been renovated. Every time I see a video of you in a school, in the bathrooms, for whatever reason, they still look the same. Like, they're missing toilets, there's holes in the walls and shit like that. Like, so Jesse's done more than you for the quote-unquote black community. But then you call him a coon. Oh, man. Jesse's done way more for the black community than you, Umar. And you've stolen more money from the black community than Jesse has. But he's the coon. You know, black people, when you hear this stuff, you have to not just accept it. You have to scrutinize it. You have to think about what you're hearing and truly, lay it all out and think about it. And if you don't have enough information to do that, then obviously you need to read up and get that information to make a proper appraisal or assessment of what you were told or what you're watching. Okay?
A man of God doing the devil's work makes him a total hypocrite.
But Tabby, you know what I just want to add to that? To hear Dr. Umar and the other man to speak this way.
That's Michael.
Is Michael, sorry. To hear Michael and Dr. Umar speak this way is abnormal for men. Normally, men, when I was growing up, they had logical mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical mindset.
There is nothing more effeminate than a white man defending a white power structure against black people. There is nothing more effeminate than a black man defending a white...
You know what's interesting? As Jesse's saying, pretty much paraphrasing here, but as Jesse's saying, these two Negroes got a lot of bitch energy on them and they act like women. This nigga Umar starts cutting him off by yelling into the mic and repeating the same shit. Let me rewind it for you. It's like, nigga, he's calling you, he's saying you got a lot of bitch energy, and then you literally start exuding that bitch energy. Like,
there is nothing more effeminate than a white...
Oh, no.
Reverend Jesse.
Oh, shit.
You say that there's no such thing as a sellout.
Come on.
To hear Michael and Dr. Umar speak the way is abnormal for men. Normally, men, when I was growing up, they had logical mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical mindset.
There is nothing more effeminate than a white man defending a white power. He sounds like they're illogical in their mindset than a black man defending a white power structure against black people.
Hey, why are you speaking? Hold on.
You are politically effeminate, Jesse Lee
logical in their mind.
You are politically
and
effeminate.
Women are illogical
you are
in their
politically
mindset, right?
effeminate.
Why are you
are defending the white power structure against your own people.
You see how he's literally just all he could do is try to yell and talk over him because he knows on a substance level he doesn't have any substance. All he's doing is peddling the same old racial talk and about the all this stuff. They got no solutions. You ain't here, and this is the second part of this fucking series that I did. And not in the last one, not in this one, has he said anything along the lines that would be resemblant of a fucking solution to any of this. He wants to fucking try to identify the problem. You know, he's trying to tell you what it is, but not bring up any fucking solution. You know, the closest thing that he might have said that would have been a solution, if you even want to take it there, was to, we shouldn't be interracially dating. Like, he got no answers, no solutions. The only person that's literally on this panel trying to offer up any solutions, whether you like it or not, is Jesse Peterson.
While you claim to be a man of God, you are a disgrace to your race, sir. You are.
Look, a whole bunch of platitudes and cliches this guy's got, and just yelling and screaming and pointing his fingers. Okay, but we all know, like, there's no substance in that. There's no message in that.
Disgrace to your race.
And so normally
Dr. Umar,
the man with the logical mindset would bring the women and children to a logical mindset to help them overcome. But now the black men, not all but most, they think like their mothers and grandmothers, so they all think just like women, and that's why you can't get it right.
So indicting racism makes you a woman.
God, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children.
I'm not interested in a religious interpretation of racism.
Today's black woman is over the men. And
it is a mistake to use religion to interpret political phenomena.
That's why
we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back on the Tammy Mac Show on Fox Soul. Let's take a quick break. We'll come right back.
Said.
Their first impression is,
would climb you like a monkey at the zoo.
Yeah, I saw this commercial last time. Watch this shit.
Don't you be looking at him like, damn, you are a tall thing of Hershey's. I would climb you like a monkey at the zoo.
What is this?
On Fox Soul.
I want you to get a good man. He needs a good woman. I mean,
I'm so excited for our anniversary. It's the 1 year.
See, we got a whole bunch of quote-unquote black shows that ain't about shit. Like, what the fuck was that nigga talking about, man? Like, if you don't shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down somewhere, your flamboyant ass. Like, what? Like, we got... I didn't even know about Fox Soul, but look, based off the commercials that I've watched, just by trying to watch this segment, it's like, what the fuck? A whole bunch of liberal Negroes spewing a whole bunch of bullshit, man. That's all it is. All it is, man. Oh, my God. Our people, man. Our people. I feel so bad.
Cocktails with the queens.
We've all came dressed like this. I know you can't really tell, but it's kind of a pajama party. I got on this old dingy robe.
I ain't see Vivica Fox in a minute. She looked like she had some surgery done. She definitely looked like she had some surgery done. Because I haven't seen her in a minute. But she don't even look the same.
I don't sleep in pajamas. I sleep in
Welcome back to the Tammy Mac Late Show. UMAR Johnson and the president of the African History Network, Michael Imhotep. Michael, I do want to talk about a specific, I want to get into some cultural things that may be a sellout right now and talk about that. I was just looking at a video of the comedian Monique kind of explaining an interview between she and comedian Steve Harvey. And I think somewhere in that interview, Steve Harvey said, this is not about black or white, this is about green. And Monique said, and that's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to lose my integrity for the green. When Steve Harvey went to visit President...
Well, first and foremost, to make it anywhere in Hollywood, you have to lose your integrity because you're bending over, okay? We all know how Hollywood gets down, okay? We all know what they do over there. You want to make it to the top, you'll be bending over. Male or female, okay? They're into some real freaky shit. And everyone, like the high-level celebrities, they've all done it. All right? They're all Luciferians, man.
Then Trump. The black community turned on him slightly. He got him back, but they definitely turned on him for making that visit to the president. Why? It would seem to me that if there is a president of the United States and you want him to do some things that are beneficial to your community, you would have to visit him at the least, right?
Yes, sister. Actually, you are correct. But there's a lot of coons and these Negroes that, oh, I don't want to talk to Trump. He ain't my president, all sorts of shit. Then how do you expect to get anything done? Oops, I'm sorry. I forgot. You don't want to get anything done because you don't even think along the lines of solutions. Okay? What a real man does, when he has a problem with another man, he goes and talks to that other man. Like a king would go and talk to another king about issues regarding their kingdoms. So yeah, if you have an issue, you go and talk to that man. You don't say, oh, I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to talk to him. That's literally some bitch shit.
Why was the black community so upset, and did that make Steve Harvey a sellout?
Well, here's the thing. I think I remember the conversation between Steve Harvey and Monique. And I can understand Monique saying, I don't want to give up my integrity for the money, because in Hollywood, or as some people call it, Hollyweird, you have a lot of people who are willing to give up their integrity for the dollar and do anything for the dollar. So I can understand that from Monique's perspective. It's tricky when you see what's interesting is that at the time that Steve Harvey, and I respect Steve Harvey, at the time Steve Harvey went to visit with Trump was, when it came to the African American community, Trump wasn't meeting with politicians. He wasn't meeting with people coming with agendas for the African American community in general. He's meeting with entertainers.
Well, let me stop you there, sir. Trump wasn't meeting with politicians, he said. Okay, what politicians was he supposed to meet with? Who? I'm assuming you're going to say black ones. Okay, so who? Maxine Waters? The same politicians that have been in politics forever, that's what he's supposed to meet with? Those same politicians that haven't done anything for the quote-unquote black community besides get them further hooked on government assistance? Those black people? And again, if you have an issue and you want to discuss it with someone, obviously you can go. Well, you should, if you're a man, you should go and discuss that issue with that person. So if Steve Harvey wants to go and talk to the president, there's no issue with that. That's what you're supposed to do. You want to be mad that it wasn't with politicians or people with agendas? That's the problem, dude. A lot of these people have agendas that aren't what the fuck you think they are, or what you think they should be. They have their own agendas. You fucking idiot! Like what are you talking about? Oh man, this shit it's damn near pathetic. This shit, man.
Okay, and I think Steve Harvey may have meant well, but I wouldn't have gone unless I'm going with a group with an.
Of course you wouldn't have gone because you're a simp. Let me rewind that. Make sure everyone's paying attention to this simp, letting you know that he's a simp.
With entertainers, okay, and I think.
So he just said he was not talking to politicians; he was talking to entertainers, and he has an issue with that, right? And mind you, this guy is supposedly the president of the American African History Network. Okay, so that should make him a historian. So he's not an entertainer. He's a scholar, allegedly.
Steve Harvey may have meant well, but I wouldn't have gone.
Of course not.
Unless I'm going with a group with an agenda.
You're going with a group with an agenda. So you on this panel, right? You're the president of the African, whatever the fuck it is, 'cause I don't even care at this point, nigga. Right? You're the president, but you can't go speak to a man about issues in the quote-unquote community. What's that say about you? You don't know what the issues, or you don't have any solutions? That's what it says. It says you don't know the issues, and or you definitely don't have any fucking solutions. Because if you had solutions, that's what the fuck you would talk about. You wouldn't need a group, you fucking loser. You wouldn't need a group. Okay? You wouldn't need a group. You would go by yourself and handle that discussion. When Muhammad Ali was the world champ, he used to walk around by himself Now, I don't recommend people doing that today, but he used to do that. Walk the streets by himself, walking up and down, whatever. He was a man of the people. He was in the streets. Okay, and if he had an issue, he would go and talk to people about it, man to man. This guy, he's not a man. He's a simp.
Pushing policies, pushing issues to benefit the African American community. So Steve Harvey is not a politician. I have not known him to be involved in politics in the past. He may have.
Kim Kardashian.
What's that got to do? If the nigga's got fucking solutions, or he thinks he does, and he goes and talks to the president about it, he's done more than you, bro. You just said you weren't the one.
And she visited and got things done.
Well, see, here's the thing. People mention Kim Kardashian, but they don't mention the 2 African-American female attorneys behind her who were doing the work, who doing the legal work. See, she sees Trump wanted the photo op.
Doing the legal work. Nigga, listen to yourself. You're talking about two people that are getting paid by Kim Kardashian. 2 people that are getting paid by Kim Kardashian. You just said 2 African-American woman attorneys, right? Nigga, that means Kim Kardashian is paying them. That means she selected them. She chose them. So what are you saying? Why are you trying to put all this praise and exalt the fucking black female? Nigga, the quote-unquote white woman you're talking about, Kim Kardashian chose them, and she's the one paying them to do that. And at the end of the day, she still went and spoke to Trump. That's something that you said you wouldn't do, nigga. You're not a man. You're a simp, nigga. Shut the fuck up. Sorry, y'all, but like I'm getting sick of niggas like this and niggas like UMAR out here, man. It's crazy. And they have these super huge platforms where they just say a whole bunch of dumb shit and nobody questions it. Like, nigga, what do you mean you wouldn't have went and spoke to the president by yourself? It's real simple. If I had the opportunity to talk to Donald Trump, anyone that's on my channel, y'all already know what the fuck I'm going to sit there and say in the discussion. You already know. But if you're new to the channel, look, I'm going to say this. I don't want no government handouts. If you could take us off welfare, by all means, do it. Incentivize us to freaking, do for ourselves. I don't want handouts. Okay, you could repeal those 3 strike laws. That would be great. You know what I mean? But as far as reforming the police, that's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. If someone's going to have an issue with you because of your color, they're going to have an issue with you because of your color. Ain't no amount of training that's going to change that. Okay? And then you might say, okay, then they shouldn't have the job. You know how fucking virtually impossible it will be to sift those people out? So, look, man. Look, Trump. What I need from you will be there's really not much you can do. Just honestly, take away the incentive for the black woman to be on welfare and not have the black man around. 1, and also repeal a lot of the 3 strike laws and the laws that make it easier to arrest black men. That's about all you can fucking do. The rest we got to do on our fucking own. And you know what? I'm pretty sure he would probably be surprised. I'm like, oh, that's it? Okay. Probably won't go through because you'll get a lot of pushback from the feminist groups, because all women like to band together. So you'll get a lot of pushback when it comes to making it harder for black women to get welfare, or making the incentive less for them to get welfare as opposed to having a black man. But yeah, again, regardless, like it or not, that would be how the discussion goes. And I'll have that discussion with him by myself. I don't need a group around me with a fucking quote-unquote agenda. And that's the problem. You don't need a fucking agenda. All right, you need to understand what's going on and have a fucking solution in mind. That's it. That's it.
With her, it was 2 African-American women who are attorneys doing the legal work.
That are getting paid, nigga. What are you talking about? They went to law school, yada yada, started working for a firm, and Kim Kardashian paid them. She could have just as easily paid white people or Chinese people. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the fact that they're black, nigga? That's their job. They're getting paid to do a fucking job.
Okay, they were the ones doing the groundwork, the grunt work.
What do you mean the groundwork? No, it started with Kim Kardashian talking to him and saying what she wanted. So what are you talking about the groundwork, the grunt work? What are you talking about? If I go and I speak to Trump or Biden right now and I say what I said I would say, and then he's like, okay, cool, well, let's make it work. You know what? I'm going to have to hire some people that know more about law and all of that stuff and legislation to help me draft all these ideas up. Okay? But it still came from me. It was my idea that I spoke to the president, and he's going with. So how are you going to take all the credit from Kim Kardashian? And I'm not trying to defend Kim Kardashian. I just think it's interesting how that's the reality, but you're talking about these black women. Like, nigga, they getting paid to do a job. That's their fucking job. If I want to do a repair to my house, I'm gonna call a contractor because that's his fucking job. If I was a contractor, I wouldn't need to call anybody. Last time I checked, Kim Kardashian isn't a fucking lawyer. So who the fuck is she gonna call? A lawyer.
So oftentimes when they talk about a Kim Kardashian and you see the photo and the...
All right, hold on. I'm gonna stop this one because it's going on.